Have you ever wondered why, despite your best intentions, you're still stuck in the same patterns? Every new year feels like a promise for change, yet as weeks turn into months, those dreams fade into excuses. The truth is, change doesn't come from wishful thinking or waiting for the right moment. It comes from facing brutal truths about yourself and the world around you. Stoicism, the ancient philosophy practiced by Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, is not about soft words or fleeting motivation. It's about discipline, resilience, and accepting the hard realities of life. In this video, we're diving into 33 brutal truths. Truths that, if you're brave enough to embrace them, will spark the real change you've been waiting for in 2025. But before we start, let me share a story to set the stage. A story that reveals the kind of clarity only hardship can provide. Let's begin. Once, in a quiet countryside, there lived a farmer named Elias. He was hard-working, rising before dawn each day to tend his fields. Yet, no matter how much effort he poured into his land, the harvests were always meager. Frustrated and exhausted, Elias blamed the weather, the soil, and even fate for his struggles. One day, an old traveler passed through the village and stopped at Elias's farm. Observing the farmer's toil, he asked, "Why do you plant the same crops year after year in this soil?" Elias, confused, replied, "Because it's what I've always done. It's what I know." The traveler smiled faintly and said, "If you keep planting the same seeds, how can you expect a different harvest? Sometimes the soil isn't the problem, it's the planter." The words struck Elias like a lightning bolt. He realized that while he had been blaming external forces, he never considered his own choices. Inspired, Elias began to learn about crop rotation, experimenting with new techniques and enriching the soil he had long ignored. The next season, his fields flourished like never before. The lesson was clear. To change the results, you must first change yourself. This story isn't just about farming, it's about life. Often we resist change because it's uncomfortable. We cling to familiar patterns, blaming circumstances for our failures. But the reality is that transformation begins when you have the courage to face the truth and take responsibility for your actions. So, as we explore these 33 brutal truths, keep Elias's story in mind. The question isn't whether the truths will be harsh, it's whether you're ready to let them reshape your life. Let's dive in. 1. Hard things are hard for a reason. In life, we often find ourselves avoiding tasks that seem difficult, uncomfortable, or downright painful. It's human nature. We gravitate toward ease and shy away from discomfort. But here's a Stoic truth that might sting. Hard things are hard for a reason. And that reason, they're the price of growth and success. Think about it. The most rewarding achievements in life, building a career, nurturing meaningful relationships, mastering a skill, don't come easy. They require effort, patience, and resilience. Why? Because anything worth having demands a transformation of the person seeking it. Success isn't handed out to the weak-willed. It's earned through enduring discomfort and overcoming obstacles. Let's unpack this with an example. Imagine you're climbing a mountain. The air gets thinner, your legs burn, and every step feels like a test of your willpower. You might think, why am I doing this to myself? But when you reach the summit, the view takes your breath away. The struggle makes the reward meaningful. If the climb were easy, everyone would do it, and the view wouldn't feel as special. This is the essence of why hard things are hard. They weed out those unwilling to persist. They teach lessons that comfort never could. They forge strength where weakness once existed. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the challenges you face aren't barriers. They're stepping stones to becoming the person you're meant to be. But let's be real. Enduring hard things is easier said than done. It's tempting to procrastinate, avoid, or make excuses. Maybe you've told yourself, "I'll start that project tomorrow," or "I'm just not ready yet." The truth is, every time you dodge discomfort, you prolong the very challenges you need to face. Avoidance doesn't make problems disappear, it magnifies them. So, how do you break this cycle? The first step is to shift your mindset. Stop seeing hard tasks as punishments and start viewing them as opportunities. Each challenge is a chance to prove your strength, to grow, and to move closer to your goals. Instead of asking, "Why is this so hard?" ask yourself, "What is this teaching me?" Next, embrace discomfort in small, manageable doses. For example, if you're intimidated by public speaking, don't wait until you're forced to give a major presentation. Start by speaking up in small meetings, then work your way up. The more you expose yourself to difficulty, the less scary it becomes. Over time, you'll build resilience, and what once seemed insurmountable will feel like second nature. Finally, remember that success isn't about avoiding hard things. It's about enduring them, whether it's waking up early to hit the gym, studying for hours to master a subject, or having a tough conversation with a loved one. The discomfort you feel is temporary, but the growth it brings is lasting. In 2025, stop running from the hard things in your life. Face them with courage and persistence. Success doesn't come to those who wait for it to get easier. It comes to those who embrace the struggle and push through. Hard things are hard for a reason. They're the gateway to the life you truly want. 2. Distractions are your biggest risk. In today's fast-paced, hyper-connected world, distractions are everywhere. Your phone pings with notifications, emails flood your inbox, social media demands your attention with endless scrolling. It's easy to blame external forces for pulling you away from your goals. But here's a harsh truth. Your biggest risk isn't external competition, it's internal distraction. Let's start with the obvious. Every moment you spend distracted is a moment stolen from your progress. You tell yourself, "I'll just check Instagram for 5 minutes," and before you know it, an hour has vanished. This constant interruption doesn't just waste time, it fractures your focus, making it harder to get back on track. It's not the world out there that derails you. It's your inability to resist the shiny objects vying for your attention. The Stoics, though they lived centuries before smartphones, understood the importance of focus. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In other words, distractions aren't the enemy. It's your lack of control over them. Why are distractions so dangerous? Because they rob you of the one resource you can never get back: time. Unlike money or possessions, time is finite. Each day offers you a limited number of hours to invest in your goal, relationships, and well-being. Every distraction is a theft, taking moments you'll never reclaim. So, how do you combat this silent thief? The first step is awareness. Start by identifying your biggest distractions. Is it your phone? Netflix? Endless meetings that add no value? Be brutally honest with yourself. You can't fix what you don't acknowledge. Once you've pinpointed the culprits, take action to eliminate them ruthlessly. Turn off notifications. Set time limits on apps. Create a dedicated workspace free from interruptions. It's not enough to wish for focus. You have to engineer an environment that supports it. Another powerful strategy is practicing deep work. This concept, popularized by author Cal Newport, involves dedicating uninterrupted blocks of time to meaningful tasks. During these periods, you commit to ignoring distractions and diving fully into your work. It's like building a fortress around your focus, protecting it from the chaos of the outside world. But here's the kicker. Distractions aren't just external. Often the biggest battle is internal. Fear of failure, self-doubt, and procrastination can all masquerade as reasons to avoid the work that matters most. You might think, I'll just tidy up my desk before starting, but in reality, you're delaying the discomfort of tackling a challenging task. To overcome this, embrace mindfulness. When you feel the urge to distract yourself, pause and ask, why am I avoiding this? Often the act of naming your resistance is enough to dissolve its power. Pair this with the Stoic practice of intentionality, deciding in advance what you'll focus on and sticking to it, no matter what. In 2025, distractions will only grow more sophisticated and tempting, but your ability to resist them will determine your success. Don't let the noise of the world drown out your purpose. Take back control, focus on what truly matters, and watch as your progress accelerates. Remember, the biggest threat to your goals isn't out there, it's within. 3. Delaying action is more painful than doing it. We've all been there. You know there's something you need to do, finish that project, clean out the clutter, or have that difficult conversation. But instead of taking action, you avoid it. You tell yourself, I'll do it tomorrow, or I need to be in the right mindset first. Days turn into weeks, and the task looms larger, creating a sense of dread every time you think about it. Here's the Stoic truth. Delaying action is often more painful than the task itself. Let's break it down. The time and mental energy you spend avoiding a task frequently exceed the time it would take to complete it. Avoidance isn't neutral, it's exhausting. While you procrastinate, the unfinished task sits in the back of your mind, quietly draining your focus and increasing your stress. It's like carrying around a heavy bag you refuse to set down, even though you could drop it at any time. The Stoics had a word for this tendency, prohairesis, or the ability to choose your response. They believed that much of life's suffering comes not from the task itself, but from our resistance to it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The dread you feel before starting a task is a mental construct, and the only way to break free is to confront it head-on. Consider this. How often have you built something up in your mind to be far worse than it actually was? Maybe it was a phone call you dreaded making, only to find it took 5 minutes and resolved an issue that had been nagging at you for weeks. Or perhaps it was a workout you didn't want to do, yet afterward you felt energized and proud. The pain of anticipation is almost always worse than the reality of action. So, why do we delay? Fear plays a big role. Fear of failure, fear of discomfort, fear of imperfection. But here's the catch. Avoidance doesn't eliminate fear. It amplifies it. The longer you wait, the more intimidating the task becomes. It's like a snowball rolling downhill, gathering mass and momentum until it feels impossible to stop. The solution? Start immediately. Even the smallest action can break the cycle of procrastination. If the task feels overwhelming, Break it into manageable steps. Instead of thinking, I have to write a 20-page report, tell yourself, I'll write the first paragraph. Once you begin, momentum takes over, and the task becomes far less daunting. Another powerful technique is the 2-minute rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it now. Answer the email, wash the dish, make the appointment. These small actions clear mental clutter and create a sense of accomplishment, motivating you to tackle larger tasks. Remember, action isn't just about getting things done. It's about reclaiming your mental peace. Every time you complete a task you've been avoiding, you free up space in your mind for creativity, focus, and joy. The burden lifts, and you realize the thing you dreaded wasn't nearly as bad as you imagined. In 2025, make it your mission to stop delaying action. Start immediately, even if it's just a small step. The sooner you act, the sooner you'll discover that the pain of avoidance is far greater than the task itself. Action isn't just the antidote to procrastination, it's the key to a lighter, freer life. 4. Shrink the gap between thought and action. There's a moment, a split second, between deciding to do something and actually doing it. This gap, though small, holds immense power. The longer you let it stretch, the more likely you are to overthink, hesitate, or back out entirely. Here's the Stoic truth. Personal power comes from minimizing the time between deciding to act and acting. Why does this gap matter so much? Because it's where doubt creeps in. You might decide to wake up early and exercise, but when the alarm rings, you hesitate. In that hesitation, your mind starts rationalizing. It's too cold. I'll start tomorrow. 1 more hour of sleep won't hurt. Before you know it, you've talked yourself out of the very action you committed to. This phenomenon isn't unique to exercise. It happens in all areas of life. You decide to start a business, but you hesitate to make the first call. You plan to save money, but you delay creating a budget. Every second of delay erodes your resolve, making it harder to follow through. The Stoics understood this well. Epictetus taught that true freedom comes from aligning your actions with your intentions. He said, first, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. The quicker you move from thought to action, the less room there is for doubt, fear, or excuses. Think of it like a muscle. The more you train yourself to act quickly, the stronger your ability to execute becomes. It's not about rushing, it's about building a habit of decisiveness. When you consistently act on your intentions without delay, you develop self-trust. You become someone who follows through, who doesn't let fear or overthinking stand in the way. So, how do you shrink the gap between thought and action? Start by recognizing your patterns of hesitation. Pay attention to the moments when you pause before acting. Are you overanalyzing, waiting for the perfect moment? Acknowledge the hesitation, then consciously choose to act anyway. Even if it feels uncomfortable, push through. Next, create systems to support quick action. For example, if you struggle to work out in the morning, lay out your workout clothes the night before. If you want to write every day, set a timer and start as soon as it goes off. These small preparations eliminate excuses and make it easier to act immediately. Another powerful technique is visualization. Before you start your day, mentally rehearse the actions you want to take. Picture yourself completing them with ease and confidence. This primes your mind for success and reduces the friction of getting started. Finally, embrace the idea of imperfect action. Perfectionism is one of the biggest culprits behind hesitation. You wait to act because you want everything to be just right. But here's the truth. Action creates clarity, not the other way around. The more you do, the more you learn, and the better you get. In 2025, commit to shrinking the gap between thought and action. Decide and act over and over again until it becomes second nature. This simple habit will transform your life. You'll accomplish more, build confidence, and eliminate the mental clutter that comes from indecision. Remember, the time between thought and action isn't just a delay. It's a battleground. Win that battle, and you'll win in life. 5. Preparation is important, but over-reliance on rituals is a trap. Preparation is the foundation of success. The great Stoics knew this, emphasizing the importance of equipping oneself mentally and physically for the challenges of life. But there's a fine line between productive preparation and falling into the trap of rituals that don't directly contribute to outcomes. In fact, over-reliance on rituals can become a form of procrastination disguised as productivity. Let's consider the difference. Productive preparation has a clear purpose. It sets the stage for action, ensuring you have the tools, information, or mindset needed to succeed. For instance, studying before an exam, setting up your workspace for a focused task, or planning your day to maximize efficiency are all forms of preparation that yield results. But when preparation becomes an endless loop of rituals, color-coding schedules, endlessly revising plans, or spending hours organizing instead of executing, it stops being helpful. Rituals can create a false sense of accomplishment, tricking your mind into thinking you're making progress when, in reality, you're avoiding the real work. The Stoics emphasized the importance of action over indulgence in distractions. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This lesson applies to preparation. The time you spend perfecting your rituals is time you could spend taking meaningful steps toward your goals. Why do we fall into this trap? Rituals can feel comforting. They give us a sense of control in an unpredictable world. They're safe because they don't involve the risks and uncertainties of real action. But here's the hard truth. Success requires stepping outside of that comfort zone. Endless preparation is often a shield we use to avoid facing the challenges and potential failures that come with action. How can you avoid this trap? Start by evaluating your preparation habits. Ask yourself, is this step essential to achieving my goal, or am I doing it because it feels good? If it's not directly contributing to your progress, it's time to let it go. Focus on tasks that move the needle, actions that create momentum rather than stalls. Another strategy is to set limits on preparation. For example, give yourself a specific amount of time to plan, organize, or gather resources. Once that time is up, shift to execution mode. This prevents you from getting stuck in an endless cycle of readiness without results. It's also important to embrace imperfection. Many people over-prepare because they fear mistakes or feel the need for everything to be flawless. But the truth is, no amount of preparation can eliminate the unpredictability of life. At some point, you have to trust that you've done enough and move forward, knowing you can adapt as needed. Remember, preparation is a tool, not an end in itself. Use it wisely, but don't let it become a crutch. In 2025, focus on striking a balance between being prepared and taking bold action. Recognize when you're genuinely setting the stage for success and when you're just avoiding the leap. The only way to achieve your goals is to step into the arena, imperfect but ready to adapt and grow. 6. Focus on outcomes, not just inputs. In a world that often celebrates hustle and effort, it's easy to fall into the trap of equating busyness with productivity. You might think, I've worked so hard, so I must be making progress. But here's a Stoic truth that cuts through this illusion. Work should be measured by results, not merely by effort or activity. The Stoics valued intentionality in action. They didn't believe in working for the sake of working. They believed in working toward a purpose. Seneca famously said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." This applies to how we measure our efforts. Are your inputs truly aligned with your desired outcomes, or are you expending energy without direction? Consider this scenario. A writer spends weeks perfecting their workspace, researching endlessly and drafting outlines, but never completes the manuscript. On the surface, they seem productive. They're busy all day. But without a finished book, all that effort is wasted. This is the danger of focusing on inputs, what you put in, rather than outcomes, what you produce. The problem with overvaluing inputs is that it often leads to frustration. You feel like you're giving 100%, yet you're not seeing the results you want. This disconnect can demoralize even the most motivated individuals. The solution is to shift your focus to outcomes. Define what success looks like for each task or project, and measure your progress against that standard. How do you make this shift? Start by identifying your key outcomes. Be specific. Instead of saying, "I want to be more productive," define what that looks like. Finishing a project, hitting a sales target, or mastering a skill. Clarity is essential because it gives you a clear destination and helps you filter out unnecessary tasks. Next, adopt the Pareto principle, also known as the 80-20 rule. This principle states that 80% of results come from 20% of efforts. Identify the actions that yield the greatest impact and prioritize them. For example, if you're a business owner, focus on activities that directly drive revenue or customer satisfaction, rather than getting bogged down in minor tasks that don't move the needle. Another powerful strategy is to set benchmarks and track your progress. For each goal, break it into smaller milestones and measure your results regularly. This keeps you focused on outcomes and allows you to adjust your approach if you're not getting the desired results. Finally, don't confuse activity with achievement. Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're productive. Take time to reflect on your efforts and ask yourself, is this bringing me closer to my goal? If the answer is no, it's time to pivot. In 2025, make it your mission to focus on what truly matters. Let go of the need to prove your worth through busyness and embrace the power of intentional, results-driven action. Remember, the Stoics didn't waste time on trivial pursuits. They aimed for excellence in everything they did. By focusing on outcomes, you'll not only achieve more, but also create a sense of purpose and fulfillment in your work. It's not about how much you do, it's about what you accomplish. 7. Master the rule of 100. In the pursuit of success, one principle stands out for its simplicity and effectiveness, the rule of 100. This rule states that committing to 100 consistent, focused actions in a specific area will compound over time to create remarkable results. Whether it's writing, sales calls, push-ups, or any other measurable activity, consistent effort generates momentum, skill, and outcomes. Think of this rule as a commitment to showing up daily, regardless of how you feel. The Stoics were strong advocates of discipline and consistency. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is precisely what the Rule of 100 teaches, that progress isn't achieved through occasional bursts of effort, but through unwavering dedication. Why is 100 such a powerful number? Because it represents volume. In any area, achieving mastery or results requires repetition. Writing 100 words a day will lead to thousands of words in a month, and potentially a book in a year. Making 100 calls a day as a salesperson ensures that you're increasing your chances of success exponentially compared to those who only make a handful. But consistency isn't just about hitting a number. It's about building a habit of sustained effort. Every time you complete a cycle of 100 actions, you reinforce your discipline and reduce the resistance to starting. This daily effort also compounds. The more you practice, the better you get, and the faster you achieve your goals. Take fitness, for example. If you commit to 100 push-ups a day, it might feel overwhelming at first. But as you continue, your body adapts, and the task becomes easier. By the end of a year, not only will your strength and endurance have improved, but the act of showing up every day will have strengthened your mindset. The key to mastering the Rule of 100 is clarity and accountability. Start by identifying the specific action you want to commit to and ensure it aligns with your goals. Next, track your progress. Use a journal, app, or checklist to log each day's actions. Seeing your streak grow will motivate you to keep going. It's also important to embrace imperfection. There will be days when hitting 100 feels impossible, but the act of trying still counts. Even completing 80 actions one day and 120 the next keeps you on track. The consistency of effort matters more than perfection. In 2025, let the Rule of 100 guide your efforts. Commit to small, consistent actions that align with your goals. Over time, you'll see how these efforts compound, leading to results that far exceed your expectations. As the Stoics would say, control what you can, your effort, and let the rest follow. 8. The hardest task is often the most important. In every to-do list, there's a task that looms larger than the rest. It's the one you keep putting off, the one that feels overwhelming or uncomfortable. Yet, this task is often the most important. Tackling it head-on is frequently the key to unlocking progress and breaking through plateaus. The Stoics understood this well. Seneca advised, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, but because we do not dare, they are difficult." Avoiding hard tasks only magnifies their difficulty in our minds. The longer you delay, the more daunting they seem, creating a cycle of procrastination and stress. Why are hard tasks so pivotal? Because they often represent the next level of growth. These tasks challenge your skills, push you out of your comfort zone, and force you to confront fears or limitations. For example, making a difficult phone call, delivering an honest piece of feedback, or addressing a lingering issue can feel intimidating, but they're often the actions that yield the greatest rewards. Consider this. If you start each day by tackling your hardest task, the rest of your day feels lighter. This concept, often referred to as eating the frog, shifts your mindset. When you face your most significant challenge first, you build momentum and confidence. By contrast, delaying the task saps your energy and focus as it lingers in the back of your mind. Facing hard tasks also builds resilience. Each time you complete one, you prove to yourself that you're capable of handling discomfort. This mental toughness spills over into other areas of life, making future challenges less intimidating. It's a practice of courage, a key Stoic virtue. So, how do you tackle your hardest task? Start with clarity. Identify the task that will have the greatest impact on your goals. Write it down and commit to addressing it first thing in the morning, before distractions or excuses creep in. Next, break the task into smaller, manageable steps. Often, the enormity of a task is what makes it feel overwhelming. By dividing it into bite-sized actions, you create a clear path forward. For example, if the task is preparing a presentation, start by drafting an outline, then focus on creating one slide at a time. Finally, use accountability to stay on track. Share your commitment with a friend, mentor, or colleague who can hold you accountable. Knowing that someone else is aware of your goal can provide the extra push needed to follow through. In 2025, make it a habit to confront your hardest tasks. Each time you do, you'll not only move closer to your goals, but also strengthen your ability to face life's challenges with courage and resolve. Remember, the most significant progress often lies just beyond your comfort zone. By embracing the hard tasks, you unlock your true potential and set the stage for growth and success. 9. Separate feelings from action. Success is rarely about how you feel. It's about what you do, despite how you feel. One of the hardest lessons to learn is that your emotions, while valid, cannot dictate your actions if you aim for meaningful progress. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." We've all experienced it. Waking up on a cold morning, dreading the workout you committed to, or hesitating before tackling a critical but uncomfortable task. Your mind races with excuses. "I don't feel like it. I'm not ready. Maybe tomorrow." These feelings are powerful, but they're also temporary. What separates those who achieve their goals from those who don't is the ability to act independently of these fleeting emotions. The truth is, feelings are unreliable guides. They shift with external circumstances, energy levels, and even the weather. If you allow them to dictate your actions, your progress will be as inconsistent as your mood. Success, on the other hand, is built on consistency, showing up and doing the work, no matter how you feel in the moment. This doesn't mean suppressing or ignoring your emotions. Feelings are natural and often provide valuable insights. However, they should inform, not control, your actions. The Stoics practiced separating what they felt from what they did, emphasizing rational decision-making over emotional reactions. Consider this. A farmer doesn't skip planting crops because he feels lazy, nor does a builder abandon a project because the weather isn't ideal. They act because the outcome depends on their consistency, not their comfort. Similarly, your success depends on doing what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel. How do you cultivate this discipline? Start by recognizing that feelings are fleeting. Acknowledge your emotions without judgment, then refocus on the task at hand. For example, if you're anxious about a presentation, don't dwell on the fear. Instead, channel your energy into preparation. Break the task into manageable steps and focus on completing each one, no matter how small. Another powerful strategy is to anchor your actions to your identity rather than your mood. For instance, instead of thinking, "I'll exercise because I feel like it today," think, "I exercise because I'm the type of person who values my health." This mindset shift aligns your actions with your long-term goals, not your temporary feelings. Finally, build habits that reduce your reliance on motivation. Habits automate actions, making them less dependent on emotional willpower. If you consistently wake up and exercise at the same time every day, it becomes second nature, bypassing the need to decide based on how you feel. In 2025, commit to separating feelings from action. Let your goals, values, and commitments guide you, not your ever-changing emotions. By doing so, you'll not only achieve more, but also develop the resilience to face challenges head-on. Remember, success isn't about feeling ready. It's about acting, even when you're not. 10. Reframe challenges as opportunities. Life is full of challenges, but how you perceive them can make all the difference. The Stoics believed that obstacles are not merely barriers, but opportunities for growth. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the very thing you see as a setback can be the path forward if you choose to reframe it. Reframing challenges isn't about denying reality or pretending everything is easy. It's about shifting your perspective to see difficulties as stepping stones rather than dead ends. For instance, anxiety can be reframed as excitement, a sign that you're stepping into something meaningful. Similarly, setbacks can be viewed as opportunities to learn, adapt, and emerge stronger. Let's take a common example: public speaking. Many people fear it, associating it with anxiety, embarrassment, or failure. But what if you reframed that fear? Instead of thinking, "I might mess up," think, "This is my chance to grow as a communicator and share something valuable." This shift doesn't eliminate the challenge, but it changes how you approach it, turning fear into fuel. Reframing challenges also builds resilience. When you view difficulties as opportunities, you're less likely to be overwhelmed by them. Instead of seeing failure as a verdict on your abilities, you see it as feedback, a guide for improvement. This mindset allows you to persevere, even in the face of adversity. The key to reframing challenges lies in your questions. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" Or, "How can I grow through this experience?" These questions shift your focus from victimhood to empowerment. Another powerful tool is gratitude. When faced with a challenge, take a moment to reflect on what you can be grateful for in the situation. Perhaps the challenge is teaching you patience, building your problem-solving skills, or revealing areas for growth. Gratitude doesn't erase difficulties, but it helps you see the hidden value within them. To apply this principle in 2025, start small. Identify a current challenge in your life and practice reframing it. If you're dealing with a difficult boss, view it as an opportunity to develop communication and negotiation skills. If you're struggling with a fitness goal, see it as a chance to build discipline and self-respect. Reframing challenges doesn't mean they'll disappear, but it changes how you experience them. By adopting this mindset, you'll approach life with greater optimism, resilience, and purpose. As the Stoics taught, adversity is not an obstacle to success, but a necessary part of it. Embrace the challenges ahead and let them shape you into the person you're meant to become. 11. Consistency beats intensity over time. In the pursuit of success, many people fall into the trap of focusing on intensity, grand, dramatic efforts that promise quick results. But success rarely comes from a single monumental action. It is born out of consistent, steady effort applied over time. As the saying goes, Rome wasn't built in a day, but they were laying bricks every hour. Consistency isn't glamorous, and that's why it's often overlooked. We're drawn to intense sprints, the crash diets, the all-nighters, the sudden bursts of energy. These efforts feel productive in the moment, but they're unsustainable. What happens after the sprint? Burnout, exhaustion, and eventually a return to old habits. It's the tortoise, not the hare, that wins the race. Let's take the example of fitness. Imagine two individuals. One works out intensely for 2 weeks, pushing themselves to their limit, then quits due to exhaustion. The other commits to a 30-minute workout 5 days a week for 6 months. Who makes more progress? The answer is obvious. Consistency compounds over time, while intensity fizzles out. Consistency is also the secret to mastering skills. Consider a musician learning to play the guitar. Practicing for an hour every day will produce far greater results than practicing for 8 hours once a week. Why? Because consistency builds habits, reinforces learning, and creates momentum. Each small, regular effort builds on the one before it, leading to exponential growth. But how do you build consistency? It starts with setting realistic goals. Don't aim for perfection, aim for progress. Instead of saying, "I'll write a novel this month," commit to writing 300 words a day. Small, manageable steps are the foundation of consistency. Habits also play a crucial role. Successful people don't rely on willpower or motivation to stay consistent. They rely on habits. Create routines that support your goals. If you want to improve your health, make it a habit to prepare meals in advance or go for a walk after dinner. Over time, these small actions become automatic, requiring less mental effort. Another key is to focus on the process, not just the outcome. Many people quit because they don't see immediate results. But consistency is about the long game. Trust that your efforts will pay off, even if the rewards aren't visible yet. Celebrate small wins along the way to stay motivated. Finally, remember that consistency isn't about being perfect. Life happens. You'll miss a day, encounter setbacks, or feel unmotivated. The key is to get back on track as quickly as possible. Consistency is about showing up more often than not about never faltering. In 2025, make consistency your superpower. Whether it's in your career, health, relationships, or personal growth, commit to steady, sustainable effort. Over time, the small actions you take daily will lead to massive results. As the Stoics remind us, greatness isn't achieved in a single moment. It's built brick by brick, one day at a time. 12. Focus on controllable inputs. In the game of life, it's easy to obsess over outcomes, getting the promotion, hitting a financial goal, achieving recognition. But the truth is, outcomes are often beyond your direct control. What you can control are the actions you take to influence those outcomes. This is where your focus should lie. The Stoics were masters of this principle. Epictetus famously said, "Some things are up to us, and some things are not." They understood that worrying about things outside your control is not only futile, but also a drain on your energy and attention. Instead, they taught us to focus on what we can control: our thoughts, actions, and efforts. Let's break this down. Imagine you're a sales professional aiming to close a big deal. The outcome, whether the client signs the contract, isn't entirely in your hands. They might have budget constraints, competing offers, or internal politics affecting their decision. What you can control are the inputs: your preparation, the quality of your pitch, your follow-up, and your ability to address their concerns. Focusing on inputs shifts your mindset from anxiety to empowerment. When you're fixated on outcomes, you're constantly evaluating your success based on factors you can't control, which can lead to frustration and burnout. But when you focus on inputs, you're in charge. You can measure your progress by the effort you're putting in, regardless of the external results. This approach is also key to resilience. Outcomes can be unpredictable, and setbacks are inevitable. But if you're committed to the process, setbacks become less daunting. You know that as long as you keep taking the right actions, progress will follow. This mindset helps you stay motivated and bounce back quickly. How do you apply this principle in practice? Start by identifying the actions that directly influence your goals. For example, if you're trying to lose weight, focus on controllable inputs like meal preparation, daily exercise, and hydration, not the number on the scale. If you're building a business, focus on creating value, reaching out to clients, and improving your skills, not the revenue in the first month. Next, create a system for tracking your inputs. Instead of measuring success by external results, measure it by your consistency in taking the right actions. Did you complete your workout today? Did you write for 30 minutes? Did you reach out to 5 potential clients? These are the metrics that matter. It's also important to detach emotionally from outcomes. This doesn't mean you stop caring about results. It means you don't let them dictate your self-worth or effort. Accept that outcomes are influenced by many factors, some of which are beyond your control. By focusing on what you can control, you maintain your sense of agency and reduce unnecessary stress. Finally, trust the process. The compounding effect of consistent inputs is powerful. While you might not see immediate results, your efforts are planting seeds that will grow over time. Patience and persistence are your allies. In 2025, commit to focusing on controllable inputs. Whether you're striving for personal, professional, or financial goals, channel your energy into the actions that matter. As the Stoics teach us, mastery of life comes from mastering what's within our control. The rest, as they say, will take care of itself. 13. Accept pain as a part of growth. Pain is a part of life. This is a truth we often try to avoid, but doing so only deepens our suffering. The discomfort we feel when pushing beyond our limits, the sting of failure, or the ache of disappointment is not something to be feared or avoided. It's a sign of progress, of being alive and actively engaged in your growth. The Stoics believed that pain is not inherently bad. It's our reaction to it that matters. Marcus Aurelius famously wrote, "If it is endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining." Pain, when reframed, is a teacher. It's the friction that sharpens the blade, the resistance that builds muscle, and the heat that forges steel. Without pain, there is no growth, no transformation. Consider how physical fitness works. When you exercise, you subject your body to stress, lifting weights, running long distances, or stretching beyond your limits. This causes micro-tears in your muscles. It's uncomfortable, even painful, but as your body repairs itself, it grows stronger. The same principle applies to your mental and emotional growth. The challenges and hardships you face are the weights that build your character. The key is to reframe your relationship with pain. Instead of seeing it as a signal to stop, view it as a sign that you're on the right path. Pain is proof that you're stepping out of your comfort zone, doing hard things, and striving for something greater. Avoiding pain, on the other hand, leads to stagnation. It's like staying in a lukewarm bath, comfortable but unproductive. But how do you endure pain without becoming overwhelmed? Start by acknowledging it. Don't suppress or deny it. When you try to ignore pain, it often manifests in other, more harmful ways: stress, anger, or regret. Instead, sit with it. Ask yourself, what is this pain teaching me? What can I learn from it? This shift in perspective turns pain into a source of insight and growth. Next, practice mindfulness. When you experience discomfort, focus on the present moment rather than catastrophizing about the future. Often the anticipation of pain is worse than the pain itself. By staying grounded in the now, you'll find that pain is manageable, even temporary. Another strategy is to remind yourself of your why. Pain feels more bearable when it's connected to a purpose. Why are you enduring this challenge? What goal or value is it tied to? When you have a clear reason for pushing through, the pain becomes meaningful rather than meaningless. Finally, embrace the concept of anti-fragility, a term coined by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. Unlike fragility, which breaks under pressure, and resilience, which withstands it, anti-fragility thrives on it. Seek out challenges that test your limits. Over time, you'll not only become better at handling pain, but also stronger because of it. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. When you accept pain as a necessary part of growth, you unlock your true potential. In 2025, let pain be your guide, not your enemy. Lean into discomfort, knowing it's shaping you into the person you're meant to become. 14. Reject mediocrity by taking risks. Mediocrity is a slow death. It's comfortable, easy, and deceptively safe. But deep down, you know it's not where you're meant to be. Settling for mediocrity often brings a different kind of pain: regret. The regret of not trying, not risking, and not fully living. The Stoics taught us to confront this truth head-on. Life is finite, and every moment spent avoiding risk is a moment wasted. Epictetus once said, "How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself?" This question cuts to the heart of rejecting mediocrity. To demand the best for yourself means stepping into uncertainty, facing failure, and risking rejection. But here's the paradox. The pain of trying and failing is often less than the pain of never trying at all. Consider the story of anyone who has achieved greatness, whether it's an entrepreneur launching a groundbreaking company, an artist creating a masterpiece, or an athlete winning gold. Behind every success story is a series of risks, failures, and lessons learned. These individuals weren't immune to fear or failure. They simply refused to let those things define them. The fear of risk is often exaggerated. We imagine worst-case scenarios that rarely come to pass. Yes, taking risks involves uncertainty, but it also brings possibility. Staying in mediocrity might feel safe, but it's a false sense of security. The world around you is constantly changing. If you're not growing, you're falling behind. So, how do you reject mediocrity and embrace risk? Start by shifting your mindset. Instead of viewing risk as a threat, see it as an opportunity. Every risk you take is a chance to learn, grow, and discover what you're capable of. Even if you fail, you're gaining experience that will serve you in the future. Next, redefine failure. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the process. Each setback is a stepping stone to your goals. The Stoics remind us that we control our actions, not the outcomes. Focus on what you can do. Take the leap, make the call, submit the application, and let go of the fear of rejection. The worst outcome is often not as bad as you think, and the best outcome could change your life. Another way to embrace risk is to start small. You don't have to quit your job tomorrow or invest all your savings in a new venture. Take calculated risks that align with your goals. Try something new, speak up in a meeting, or start a side project. Each small risk builds your confidence and prepares you for bigger challenges. Finally, surround yourself with people who inspire you to aim higher. Mediocrity thrives in the company of those who settle. Seek out mentors, friends, and communities that challenge you to grow. Their encouragement and example will make taking risks feel less daunting. Rejecting mediocrity is not about recklessness, it's about courage. It's about valuing your potential more than your comfort. In 2025, commit to stepping outside your comfort zone, even if it's uncomfortable or uncertain. As the Stoics teach us, the greatest risk is not taking any risk at all. Life is too short to settle for less than you're capable of achieving. 15. Live authentically. Living authentically is one of the most profound and liberating principles for personal growth and happiness. It's about aligning your thoughts, words, and actions with your true self, rather than conforming to external expectations or societal norms. Authenticity is not just a moral ideal, it's a cornerstone of confidence, resilience, and self-respect. The Stoics emphasized this idea through the concept of living in accordance with nature. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This statement reflects the essence of authenticity. Stop performing for others and start living as your true self. Why is authenticity so powerful? Because it frees you from the exhausting cycle of pretense. When you live authentically, you stop trying to fit into molds that don't suit you. You stop saying yes when you mean no, or pursuing goals that others impose on you. Instead, you make choices that resonate with your core values and aspirations. Authenticity builds confidence because it's rooted in self-awareness. When you know who you are and what you stand for, you become less susceptible to the opinions and judgments of others. This self-assuredness translates into how you carry yourself, how you communicate, and how you make decisions. People respect those who are unapologetically themselves, even if they don't always agree with them. But living authentically isn't easy. Society constantly pressures us to conform, to chase careers, lifestyles, or ideals that may not align with who we truly are. We're bombarded with images of success and happiness that often feel unattainable or irrelevant to our own lives. Breaking free from these expectations requires courage and clarity. Start by examining your life. Are your actions aligned with your values, or are they driven by fear, obligation, or the need for approval? Reflect on the decisions you've made recently, big or small. Did they come from a place of authenticity, or were they influenced by external pressures? The more you practice this kind of self-reflection, the clearer your path becomes. Next, embrace vulnerability. Authenticity requires showing up as you are, flaws and all. This doesn't mean oversharing or disregarding boundaries. It means being honest about your thoughts, feelings, and intentions. When you're authentic, you invite deeper connections and trust because people see that you're real. Another key to authenticity is learning to say no. When you prioritize your true self, you inevitably have to disappoint others who expect you to conform to their desires. This can be uncomfortable, but it's necessary. Saying no to what doesn't align with your values creates space for what does. Finally, understand that authenticity is a journey, not a destination. As you grow and evolve, so will your sense of self. The key is to stay true to that evolving self, rather than clinging to outdated ideas of who you should be. Authenticity isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest. Living authentically in 2025 means stepping away from the masks and embracing who you truly are. It's not about pleasing everyone. It's about respecting yourself. And when you respect yourself, you'll find that the world starts respecting you too. 16. Stop seeking validation. One of the biggest obstacles to living a fulfilling life is the relentless pursuit of validation from others. It's natural to want approval and recognition, but when your self-worth depends on it, you become a prisoner of other people's opinions. The Stoics understood this deeply, urging us to focus on what we can control, our thoughts and actions, rather than external validation. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This is a powerful reminder that the pursuit of excellence often requires going against the grain, risking disapproval, and staying true to your goals despite criticism. The problem with seeking validation is that it shifts the focus of your life from internal growth to external approval. Instead of asking, "What do I want?" or "What aligns with my values?" you start asking, "What will they think?" This mindset not only limits your potential, but also creates anxiety, self-doubt, and a constant need to perform. To break free from the validation trap, start by understanding why you seek it. Often, it stems from fear of rejection, failure, or being misunderstood. Acknowledge these fears without judgment. Once you're aware of them, you can begin to address them. One of the most effective ways to stop seeking validation is to build internal validation. This means deriving your sense of worth from your own values, efforts, and progress, rather than external applause. Celebrate your wins, however small, and reflect on how far you've come. When you value yourself, the opinions of others lose their grip on you. Another strategy is to set clear, intrinsic goals. When your goals are tied to your values and passions, you become less concerned with what others think. For example, if your goal is to improve your health, focus on how you feel rather than how you look to others. If your goal is to start a business, measure success by your progress and impact, not by how impressed others are. Additionally, practice detachment. This doesn't mean you stop caring about others or their opinions entirely. It means you recognize that their opinions are not within your control and therefore shouldn't dictate your actions. The Stoics remind us that we cannot please everyone, nor should we try. Social media is a modern battleground for validation. If you find yourself constantly checking likes, comments, or views, take a step back. Ask yourself, am I sharing this because it's meaningful to me, or because I want approval? Consider taking breaks from social media to reconnect with your true self. Finally, surround yourself with people who support your growth rather than demand your conformity. True friends and mentors will encourage you to pursue your path, even if it's unconventional. Their approval, while valuable, is not the source of your worth. It's a reflection of shared values and mutual respect. In 2025, make a commitment to stop seeking validation and start living unapologetically. Pursue your goals with determination and authenticity, not because they'll impress others, but because they matter to you. The freedom you'll gain from breaking this cycle will allow you to focus on what truly matters, your growth, purpose, and happiness. As the Stoics teach, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Let this principle guide you as you let go of the need for approval and embrace the power of self-validation. 17. Success requires evidence of effort. Confidence doesn't magically appear. It's built through consistent action and measurable progress. Success, whether in your career, relationships, or personal growth, requires evidence of effort, a tangible trail of actions that demonstrate your commitment and ability to improve. Confidence isn't about convincing others of your worth. It's about proving to yourself that you're capable of showing up and doing the work, day after day. The Stoics often emphasized action over words. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. This means your results are a reflection of your actions, not your intentions." Success isn't about dreaming big. It's about taking the small, deliberate steps that lead to measurable outcomes. Why is evidence of effort so critical? Because it combats self-doubt. When you have proof of your capability, whether it's completing a tough project, hitting a fitness milestone, or learning a new skill, you reinforce your belief in your ability to face challenges. It becomes a cycle. Action builds evidence, evidence builds confidence, and confidence fuels further action. Consider how this applies to physical fitness. If you're aiming to run a marathon, confidence doesn't come from reading about running techniques or buying the best gear. It comes from the miles you've logged, the sweat you've shed, and the days you've pushed through fatigue. Every step you take is evidence that you're capable of enduring and improving. The same principle applies to other areas of life. In your career, confidence stems from mastering tasks, meeting deadlines, and solving problems. In relationships, it comes from showing up consistently and being honest about your intentions. In personal growth, it's about the hours spent reading, reflecting, and applying what you've learned. However, many people fall into the trap of seeking shortcuts, wanting the rewards without the effort. This approach not only sabotages your growth, but also erodes your self-trust. If you know you've cut corners or avoided challenges, it's hard to feel confident in your abilities. On the other hand, when you embrace effort, you strengthen your self-respect and resilience. To build evidence of effort, start by setting clear, actionable goals. Break them down into small, manageable steps and track your progress. Celebrate the wins, no matter how small, because they're proof of your dedication. If you stumble, don't dwell on the failure. Learn from it, adapt, and keep moving forward. Every mistake is an opportunity to build resilience and sharpen your skills. Another key is to document your efforts. Journaling your progress, whether in fitness, work, or personal goals, helps you see how far you've come. This reflection can be a powerful motivator on tough days, reminding you that your hard work is paying off. Success isn't about being perfect. It's about being persistent. It's about showing up even when you don't feel like it, doing the work when no one is watching, and trusting that your effort will compound over time. The evidence of effort is what separates those who achieve their goals from those who only dream about them. In 2025, commit to creating evidence of effort in everything you do. Let your actions speak louder than your words. Confidence and success will follow, not because of luck or talent, but because you've earned them through relentless effort. 18. Do what others won't to get results they can't. Exceptional results require exceptional effort. If you want to achieve what others only dream of, you must be willing to do what they avoid, embracing hard work, persistence, and sacrifices that most people shy away from. Success isn't about being lucky or naturally gifted. It's about outworking and outlasting those who settle for mediocrity. The Stoics believed in enduring discomfort as a path to excellence. Epictetus taught, "No great thing is created suddenly. Achieving greatness requires patience and perseverance, qualities that are cultivated through consistent, deliberate effort in the face of challenges. Think about elite athletes, successful entrepreneurs, or groundbreaking artists. What sets them apart isn't just talent, it's their willingness to put in hours of practice, endure rejection, and take risks that others avoid. They embrace the grind, knowing that the path to extraordinary results is rarely comfortable or easy. To do what others won't, you must start by identifying the areas where most people give up. This could be the discipline to wake up early and work on your goals before the day begins, the courage to face repeated failures without losing momentum, or the commitment to keep learning and improving even after achieving success. Take, for example, the act of building a side business while working a full-time job. Most people dismiss this idea as too exhausting or time-consuming, but those who are willing to sacrifice evenings, weekends, and leisure time to work on their passion often find themselves years ahead of their peers. The effort you invest in what others overlook or avoid compounds into extraordinary results over time. Another area where exceptional effort matters is in personal growth. Many people resist difficult conversations, uncomfortable truths, or the discipline required for self-improvement. But if you're willing to face these challenges head-on, seeking feedback, reflecting on your mistakes, and actively working to grow, you'll develop qualities that set you apart in both your personal and professional life. To achieve what others can't, you must also develop a mindset of resilience. Most people quit when they encounter setbacks, viewing failure as a dead end rather than a stepping stone. If you can reframe failure as a learning opportunity and keep pushing forward, you'll outpace those who let obstacles derail them. A key strategy is to embrace discomfort. Whether it's waking up earlier than you'd like, enduring criticism, or taking risks that others avoid, discomfort is often the price of progress. Remember, growth happens outside your comfort zone. The more you stretch yourself, the more you expand your capacity for success. Another critical factor is consistency. It's not about working harder for a week or a month. It's about showing up day after day, even when motivation wanes. The Stoics emphasize the importance of discipline, understanding that small, consistent actions lead to massive results over time. Finally, understand that doing what others won't isn't about competing with them. It's about competing with your past self. It's about pushing your own limits and striving for excellence because you know you're capable of more. When you focus on your journey rather than comparing yourself to others, you unlock your true potential. In 2025, commit to doing what others won't. Embrace the challenges that most people avoid, and let your extraordinary effort propel you toward extraordinary results. Success isn't reserved for the lucky or the talented. It's earned by those who are willing to go the extra mile every single day. 19. Your calendar reflects your future. Look at your calendar. What does it reveal about your future? The truth is simple, yet often overlooked. How you spend your time today directly shapes the life you'll live a year from now. Your calendar is more than just a schedule. It's a blueprint for your aspirations, priorities, and ultimately, your success. The Stoics were masters of time management long before calendars or apps existed. Seneca famously warned, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." He recognized that time is a finite and invaluable resource. Once it's gone, it can never be reclaimed. So, how you choose to spend it becomes one of the most important decisions you make every single day. The first step in aligning your calendar with your future is to audit your current time usage. What do your days truly consist of? Are they filled with meaningful, productive activities that move you closer to your goals? Or do they contain hours lost to distractions, procrastination, or unproductive habits? Every unchecked hour is a missed opportunity to build the life you desire. Think of your time as a currency. Just as you wouldn't frivolously spend money you've worked hard to earn, you shouldn't waste the limited hours you have each day. Each block of time in your calendar is an investment in your future. If you invest it wisely, working on your goals, nurturing relationships, developing skills, you'll reap the rewards. If you squander it on distractions or low-priority tasks, you'll find yourself falling short of your potential. One of the most powerful tools to guard your time is the practice of intentional scheduling. This means allocating specific time blocks to the activities that matter most, such as pursuing your career goals, maintaining your health, or spending quality time with loved ones. By scheduling these priorities, you ensure they take precedence over the inevitable distractions and interruptions of daily life. It's equally important to say no to time-wasting activities. This can be uncomfortable, especially when faced with social obligations, unnecessary meetings, or demands from others. However, protecting your time isn't selfish, it's essential. Every yes to something unimportant is a no to something that truly matters. As Marcus Aurelius advised, ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary? Let this question guide your decisions about how you allocate your time. Another critical aspect of aligning your calendar with your future is embracing focus. Multitasking and scattered attention dilute your efforts, leaving you with minimal progress and a sense of frustration. Instead, dedicate uninterrupted time to your most important tasks. Turn off notifications, close unnecessary tabs, and give your full attention to the work at hand. Deep focus not only increases productivity, but also enhances the quality of your results. Consistency is also key. A single productive day won't change your life, but a year of consistent, focused effort will. Your calendar should reflect a commitment to your long-term goals, even in small, manageable increments. For example, if your goal is to write a book, schedule an hour every morning for writing. If you want to improve your fitness, block out time for workouts several times a week. Over time, these small efforts compound into significant progress. Finally, regularly review your calendar and adjust as needed. Life is dynamic, and your schedule should reflect changing priorities and circumstances. Periodically ask yourself if your current time allocation aligns with your goals and values. If not, make the necessary adjustments to get back on track. In 2025, let your calendar become a reflection of your highest aspirations. Guard your time fiercely, schedule intentionally, and focus on what truly matters. A year from now, your future self will thank you for the disciplined choices you made today. 20. Adaptation comes through action. Waiting for the perfect moment is a trap. The truth is, you'll never have all the answers before you begin. Clarity, direction, and adaptation come through action, not hesitation. Each step you take provides new insights and opportunities, transforming uncertainty into progress. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This sentiment reflects the essence of action. Rather than overthinking or waiting for ideal conditions, begin. Action is the catalyst for clarity and growth. One of the biggest barriers to action is fear. Fear of failure, rejection, or making the wrong choice. But inaction is often more damaging than any potential mistake. When you hesitate, you stagnate, allowing opportunities to slip away. On the other hand, when you take action, even imperfect action, you set momentum in motion. Each small step brings you closer to your goals, while also building the confidence to tackle larger challenges. Consider the process of learning a new skill. If you wait until you feel completely ready, you may never start. Instead, dive in, make mistakes, and learn as you go. For example, if you're learning a new language, don't wait until you've memorized every grammar rule. Start speaking, even if you make errors. Each attempt provides valuable feedback that accelerates your progress. The same principle applies to career advancement. If you aspire to a leadership role but feel unqualified, begin by taking on smaller responsibilities. Volunteer for projects, contribute ideas in meetings, or mentor a colleague. These actions not only build your skills, but also demonstrate your potential to others. Waiting for perfection only delays your growth. Adaptation through action is also evident in problem solving. When faced with a challenge, overthinking can lead to paralysis by analysis. Instead of waiting for the perfect solution, take a step forward. Experiment, iterate, and refine as you go. Often the act of starting reveals paths and solutions you couldn't see from a standstill. To embrace action, adopt a mindset of curiosity and experimentation. View each step as a learning opportunity rather than a final judgment of your abilities. Celebrate progress, no matter how small, and use setbacks as stepping stones for improvement. This mindset not only reduces the fear of failure, but also encourages continuous growth. Another key to adapting through action is staying flexible. Rigidity can be a barrier to progress, especially when circumstances change. By remaining open to new information and willing to adjust your approach, you ensure that your actions remain aligned with your goals. Think of it as steering a ship. While you have a destination in mind, you must adjust your course to navigate winds and currents. Finally, remember that action is a habit. The more you practice taking initiative, the easier it becomes. Start small. Set daily goals that push you out of your comfort zone, whether it's making a phone call you've been avoiding, starting a side project, or having a difficult conversation. Over time, these small actions compound, creating a ripple effect of growth and success. In 2025, let go of the need for perfect conditions or complete certainty. Begin where you are, with what you have. Take action, adapt as you go, and trust that each step will reveal the next. By embracing action as a way of life, you'll not only achieve your goals, but also discover the resilience and clarity that come from moving forward. 21. The desire to quit is the true test. Every worthwhile pursuit comes with moments of doubt and frustration. The voice in your head that says, "Why bother?" or "This is too hard." That voice is not your enemy, it's your test. The desire to quit, to retreat, to comfort, is the fork in the road where mediocrity and greatness are divided. How you respond determines your future. The Stoics understood the inevitability of struggle. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the challenges that make you want to quit are the very catalysts for your growth. Resilience isn't forged in ease, but in resistance. Think back to a time when you faced something difficult, a fitness goal, a demanding work project, or even a personal crisis. The moment you wanted to quit was likely when the task became the most demanding, the most uncomfortable. But if you pushed through, you likely emerged stronger, wiser, and more capable than before. The desire to quit wasn't a sign of weakness. It was the threshold of growth. Quitting is seductive because it offers immediate relief. It promises an escape from discomfort, a return to safety. But that relief is temporary, and the cost is high. Each time you quit, you reinforce a habit of giving up when things get tough. Over time, this chips away at your confidence, leaving you trapped in a cycle of regret and unfulfilled potential. On the other hand, persisting through the urge to quit builds mental fortitude. It's not about ignoring the discomfort, but about reframing it. Instead of seeing struggle as a signal to stop, view it as a signal to lean in. Recognize that the discomfort is temporary, but the growth it fosters is lasting. As Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly." Greatness is the result of enduring many small, difficult moments without giving up. To persist, start by acknowledging the desire to quit. Name it. Understand that it's a natural reaction to adversity, not a command to obey. Once you've identified it, focus on why you started in the first place. Reconnect with your purpose, your why. When the urge to quit feels overwhelming, your purpose can act as a compass, guiding you back to the path. Another strategy is to break the challenge into smaller, more manageable steps. When the journey feels overwhelming, it's often because you're looking at the entire mountain instead of the next foothold. Commit to taking just one more step, completing one more task, or enduring one more minute. Often, the act of continuing, even in small increments, builds momentum and restores your resolve. Surround yourself with reminders of your progress. Document your wins, no matter how small, and revisit them during moments of doubt. Progress, even when incremental, is a powerful antidote to the desire to quit. It reminds you that your efforts are paying off, and that each step forward is a step closer to your goal. Finally, embrace the fact that the desire to quit is universal. Every successful person you admire has faced it. What separates them from the rest is not the absence of doubt, but the ability to push through it. They've built the habit of persisting, and so can you. In 2025, let the moments when you want to quit be the moments that define you. Each time you push through the urge to stop, you strengthen your character and move closer to your goals. Remember, the true test isn't the obstacle itself, but how you respond when the temptation to quit arises. 22. Own your failures and growth. The life you're living right now is the sum of your past choices. While it's tempting to blame circumstances, other people, or bad luck for your struggles, the uncomfortable truth is this: you are where you are because of the actions, or inactions, you've taken. The sooner you take ownership of this reality, the sooner you can change it. The Stoics emphasized personal responsibility as a cornerstone of wisdom and growth. Epictetus taught, "We are not disturbed by things, but by the views we take of them." This doesn't mean external events are irrelevant. It means your response to them is what shapes your life. Blame shifts power away from you, while ownership places it firmly in your hands. Owning your failures doesn't mean wallowing in guilt or shame. It means acknowledging your role in the outcomes you've experienced. It's about looking at your mistakes with honesty and using them as opportunities for growth. Failure, when owned, becomes a powerful teacher. It shows you what doesn't work, where you need to improve, and how you can do better next time. Consider someone who repeatedly struggles with their health, finances, or relationships. Blaming external factors, poor genetics, an unfair boss, or bad luck in love might feel easier in the short term, but it changes nothing. On the other hand, recognizing the habits, decisions, or mindsets that contributed to these struggles opens the door to change. Taking responsibility allows you to reclaim control over your future. One of the most liberating aspects of ownership is realizing that while you can't change the past, you can influence the future. Each decision you make today contributes to the life you'll live tomorrow. This mindset transforms failures from dead ends into stepping stones. As Seneca said, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. By owning your past, you create the foundation for a better future. To start owning your failures and growth, practice radical self-reflection. Set aside time regularly to review your actions, choices, and outcomes. Ask yourself tough questions. Where did I fall short? What could I have done differently? What lessons can I take from this experience? This process isn't about self-criticism. It's about self-awareness and improvement. Next, take action. Ownership without action is pointless. If you've identified a habit, mindset, or behavior that's holding you back, commit to changing it. Set specific, actionable goals and hold yourself accountable for meeting them. Progress might be slow and setbacks are inevitable, but each step forward reinforces your growth. Surround yourself with people who encourage accountability. Share your goals and challenges with trusted friends, mentors, or coaches who can provide guidance and support. These relationships can serve as both a source of encouragement and a mirror, reflecting back the areas where you still need to grow. Lastly, forgive yourself. Taking ownership doesn't mean beating yourself up over past mistakes. It means learning from them and moving forward. Self-compassion is a vital part of growth. Recognize that you're human, that failure is a natural part of life, and that every step you take toward improvement is a victory in itself. In 2025, commit to owning both your failures and your growth. Accept that the life you have is a result of your actions and embrace the power to act differently moving forward. By taking full responsibility for your past, you pave the way for a future that's entirely within your control. 23. The price of success. Success is rarely a free gift. It demands payment, not in currency, but in sacrifices, criticism, and misunderstandings. These are not unfair penalties. They are the dues you pay for achieving something extraordinary. When you decide to pursue a meaningful goal, you inevitably disrupt the status quo. This disruption attracts resistance, often from the very people around you. Friends may not understand your dedication to work. Family might feel neglected when you dedicate time to self-improvement. And society? It often criticizes those who deviate from its predefined expectations. But here's the truth. If you're not facing criticism or resistance, you're likely not pushing yourself far enough. The Stoics understood that external judgments were part of the journey. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Success requires you to detach from how others perceive your path and focus on your own intentions. Consider some of history's most successful individuals. Innovators like Elon Musk, who faced ridicule for pursuing electric cars and space exploration, or athletes like Serena Williams, who endured relentless scrutiny. These individuals didn't achieve greatness by avoiding discomfort. They thrived because they embraced it as part of the cost of doing business. Sacrifice is another essential component. Time spent building something meaningful often comes at the expense of leisure, relationships, or even sleep. But sacrifice is not a loss. It's a trade-off. You give up the immediate gratification of comfort to achieve long-term fulfillment. The Stoics believed in this principle of intentional sacrifice. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Growth often requires setting aside ego and enduring temporary discomfort for a greater purpose. To embrace the price of success, first, shift your perspective. View sacrifices and criticism not as obstacles, but as validation that you're moving in the right direction. If you're feeling the weight of the price, it's likely because you're pursuing something worthwhile. Second, prioritize your efforts. Not all sacrifices are equal. Determine which areas of your life require temporary discomfort to achieve your goals, and which sacrifices are unnecessary distractions. This discernment allows you to stay focused on what truly matters. Finally, prepare for criticism by cultivating an unshakable sense of purpose. When your why is clear, external judgments lose their power. Surround yourself with people who understand your vision and can support you during moments of doubt. Even one person who believes in your journey can make all the difference. Remember, the price of success isn't a punishment. It's proof that you're aiming high. The next time you encounter resistance, see it as a badge of honor, a sign that you're paying your dues on the road to greatness. 24. Periodization of focus. Life often feels like a balancing act, with competing demands pulling us in every direction: work, relationships, health, personal growth. But here's the truth. Balance isn't about doing everything at once. It's about dedicating focused periods to specific pursuits and shifting priorities as needed. This concept, known as periodization, is the secret to sustained growth and fulfillment. Athletes understand this principle well. A sprinter doesn't train for speed, endurance, and flexibility simultaneously. Instead, they break their training into focused blocks, dedicating time to each component before integrating them into peak performance. Life operates in the same way. Trying to balance every area simultaneously leads to mediocrity in all of them. The Stoics embrace this idea by emphasizing intentionality. Seneca wrote, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere. Spreading yourself too thin results in a lack of depth and progress. Instead, focus your energy on one pursuit at a time, giving it the attention it deserves before shifting to the next." Let's break this down. Imagine you're in a phase where career growth is your top priority. This might mean dedicating extra hours to learning new skills, networking, or completing challenging projects. During this period, other areas, like your social life, might take a back seat. That doesn't mean neglecting them entirely. It means understanding that you can't excel in everything simultaneously. Once you've reached a milestone in your career, you can shift focus to another area, like relationships or health. Periodization also applies to daily life. Instead of multitasking, break your day into blocks of focused effort. For example, dedicate mornings to deep work, afternoons to collaboration, and evenings to rest or personal pursuits. This approach prevents burnout and ensures that each area of your life receives the attention it needs. To implement periodization of focus, start by identifying your current priorities. Ask yourself, what's the most important area of my life right now? Be honest. Trying to prioritize everything equally will only dilute your efforts. Next, set clear boundaries. If you're in a career-focused phase, communicate this to your loved ones so they understand why you might be less available. Similarly, if you're in a health-focused phase, carve out time for exercise and meal preparation, even if it means saying no to other commitments. Finally, periodically reassess your focus. Life is dynamic, and priorities change. Schedule regular check-ins with yourself to evaluate whether it's time to shift your attention to a new area. This flexibility ensures that you remain aligned with your goals and values. Periodization of focus isn't about neglecting parts of your life. It's about sequencing your energy to achieve maximum impact. In 2025, stop striving for an impossible balance and start embracing intentional focus. By dedicating specific periods to different pursuits, you'll not only achieve more, but also experience deeper fulfillment in every area of your life. 25. Specific ambition gives direction. A vague goal is like wandering through a dense forest with no map, confusing, disorienting, and full of false starts. It's no wonder so many people give up before they even begin. General ambition feels noble in thought, but hollow in execution. I want to be successful, or I want to improve my life, are ideas that sound good when spoken aloud, but collapse under the weight of their own vagueness. And here lies the trap. The more general your ambition, the more likely you are to drift aimlessly, caught in a loop of anxiety and inaction. The Stoics knew this well. Marcus Aurelius would say, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." To them, clarity was power. It's not enough to want something. You must define it with precision. What does success mean to you? What does a better life look like? Until you know, you're just spinning your wheels, burning fuel without covering any distance. Let's imagine you set a goal to get in shape. Sounds simple, right? But the moment you start, reality sets in. Do you run? Do you lift weights? How often? What's your end goal? The sheer number of decisions becomes paralyzing. Now, contrast that with someone who says, "I want to run a 5K in under 30 minutes by June." Immediately, there's a direction, a measurable target, and a sense of urgency. Every choice becomes clearer. Train 3 times a week. Track your times. Adjust your pace. Specific ambition isn't just about making progress. It's about removing the mental clutter that stops you from starting. When your goal is clear, your actions naturally align with it. There's no need to second-guess whether you're on the right path, because the path has already been mapped. Anxiety fades when you can see the destination ahead. But here's the part most people overlook. Clarity isn't just for the destination, it's for the journey too. You might aim to save $20,000 in a year. That's a specific goal, but without breaking it into actionable steps, like saving 16 each month, it's still overwhelming. Specificity isn't about big dramatic declarations. It's about defining the small, manageable steps that build toward the bigger picture. The beauty of specific ambition lies in how it empowers you to focus. Distractions lose their appeal when you're anchored to a clear purpose. The noise of comparison, what others are doing, what society expects, fades into the background. Suddenly you're not trying to keep up with the world. You're carving your own path, step by step. And the best part, clarity breeds confidence. Every small victory reinforces your belief in your ability to achieve. Each dollar saved, mile run, or chapter written becomes evidence that you're capable of more. Progress isn't just seen, it's felt. And with each step, the impossible becomes inevitable. So ask yourself, what do you really want? Not in vague terms, but in the kind of detail that leaves no room for doubt. When will you achieve it? How will you measure it? What's the first step you can take today? The Stoics believed in living with intention, and intention starts with clarity. Don't let your ambitions remain abstract ideas floating in the ether. Ground them in reality. Only then will you find the direction you've been searching for. 26. Thoughts aren't facts. You've probably had this happen. A single thought enters your mind, uninvited, and suddenly it's controlling your entire day. Maybe it's a self-doubt whispering, "You're not good enough," or a flash of paranoia convincing you that someone is judging you. And before you know it, that fleeting thought has planted roots, growing into a belief so strong you'd swear it was truth. But here's the thing, your thoughts lie, often, and if you're not careful, they'll shape your life in ways you never intended. The Stoics understood this. Epictetus taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That reaction begins in the mind, with the stories we tell ourselves about the world and our place in it. Take a moment to reflect on your own thoughts. How often do you assume the worst? How often do you let a single moment of doubt spiral into a narrative of failure? For most of us, it's far too often. But here's the truth. Thoughts are not facts. They are fleeting, often irrational, and shaped by emotions, fears, and past experiences. They are not reality. They are interpretations. Imagine standing on a cliff, looking down at the water below. Your thoughts might scream, "You'll never survive the jump. You're not brave enough." But the facts? People jump from that height all the time. The fear isn't based on truth. It's based on your interpretation of the moment. The same principle applies to nearly every challenge in life. The voice in your head isn't always your ally. In fact, it's often your biggest obstacle. The good news? You can challenge your thoughts. When a negative belief takes hold, question it. Is this true? What evidence do I have? What would I say to a friend who thought this way? By treating your thoughts as hypotheses rather than truths, you regain control. You become the observer, not the victim. Reframing your thoughts is one of the most powerful tools for growth. That anxiety before a big presentation, it's just excitement in disguise, your body preparing you to perform. That setback you've been beating yourself up over? It's not failure, it's feedback. Every thought has an alternative perspective, and it's up to you to find it. The Stoics called this the practice of judgment. They believed that events themselves are neutral. It's our interpretation that gives them meaning. This doesn't mean ignoring reality, but approaching it with a clearer, calmer mind. When you stop treating every thought as fact, you create space for rationality, resilience, and growth. So, the next time your mind starts spinning, pause. Breathe. Remind yourself that thoughts are just thoughts. They come and go like clouds in the sky, and you don't have to hold on to them. Choose which ones deserve your attention, and let the rest drift away. Because the greatest freedom lies in understanding this. Your thoughts may speak, but you hold the power to decide whether or not to listen. 27. Success is a long game. We live in a world that glorifies instant gratification. Swipe, tap, click. Results are expected in moments, and patience is seen as a weakness. But success? True, meaningful success? That's not something you can microwave. It's a long game, and the sooner you understand this, the sooner you'll stop chasing quick fixes and start building something real. The greatest achievements in life aren't measured in days or weeks. They're the result of years, even decades, of consistent effort. Think of a towering oak tree. It doesn't sprout overnight. It starts as a small seed, nurtured over time, enduring storms and seasons, growing stronger with each passing year. Your goals are no different. They require planting, tending, and unwavering commitment to the process. The Stoics often emphasize the importance of patience and perspective. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining." This applies not only to enduring hardships, but to enduring the wait for results. The discomfort of delayed gratification is where most people falter. They quit too soon, not realizing how close they were to a breakthrough. Consider the story of Colonel Sanders, the founder of KFC. He didn't achieve success until his 60s. By then, he'd faced rejection hundreds of times, but he kept going because he understood that success doesn't follow your timetable. It follows its own. The same principle applies to you. If you're not willing to put in the years, then you're not truly committed to your goal. When you accept that success is a long game, something amazing happens. The pressure lifts. You stop panicking over short-term failures or setbacks because you realize they're just a part of the process. Extending your timeline doesn't mean procrastinating. It means pacing yourself for sustainable progress. A marathon runner doesn't sprint the first mile and expect to finish strong. They conserve their energy, focusing on steady improvement. But here's the catch. Many people mistake playing the long game for waiting around. That's not what this is about. The long game requires consistent action. It's not about dreaming of some distant future, but doing the hard, often unglamorous work, today, tomorrow, and the day after that. It's about showing up when no one's watching, putting in the hours when there's no applause, and trusting that every small step adds up over time. Success isn't linear, and it's rarely quick. There will be plateaus where it feels like nothing is happening. These are the moments that test your resolve. Do you quit because it's taking too long, or do you double down because you believe in what you're building? The choice is yours, and it will define your outcome. So, take a deep breath and embrace the long game. Adjust your perspective. Instead of asking, "How fast can I achieve this?" ask, "How can I sustain this effort for the next 5, 10, or 20 years?" Because the truth is, the most fulfilling successes aren't fleeting. They're the ones you've earned through years of dedication. And when you finally achieve them, they'll be worth every moment of the wait. 28. Judgment limits. Growth. It's natural to judge. Our minds crave order, categorizing every experience as good or bad. This instinct served us well in simpler times, deciding whether a rustling bush was a predator or just the wind was a matter of survival. But in the complexity of modern life, this knee-jerk judgment often works against us. It limits our growth, narrows our perspectives, and blinds us to opportunities hidden within challenges. Think about it. How often do you label something as bad simply because it's uncomfortable or unexpected? A missed promotion, a failed relationship, a criticism. Our default reaction is to label these as negative, as if they're final verdicts on our worth or future. But are they? Or are they just events, neutral in nature, waiting for us to assign meaning? The Stoics were masters at reframing. Epictetus taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In other words, events are inherently neutral. It's our interpretation that colors them. A failure is only a failure if you decide to stop trying. A criticism is only an insult if you choose to take it personally. Remove the judgment, and what's left? A chance to learn, to adapt, to grow. Take the story of Thomas Edison. When his laboratory burned to the ground, destroying years of work, He famously remarked, "Thank goodness all our mistakes were burned up. Now we can start fresh again." Most people would have labeled the fire as a catastrophe. Edison saw it as a clean slate. This wasn't blind optimism. It was the ability to strip away judgment and focus on possibility. When you accept events as neutral, you free yourself from the emotional weight that judgment carries. A setback isn't a failure. It's feedback. A challenge isn't a barrier. It's a training ground. This doesn't mean you ignore pain or difficulty. It means you refuse to let them define your experience. You take what's useful and leave the rest. But letting go of judgment isn't easy. It requires mindfulness, self-awareness, and the humility to admit that you don't know everything. When something goes wrong, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? When someone criticizes you, instead of reacting defensively, consider, is there truth in their words? These questions shift your focus from labeling to understanding, from reacting to responding. The beauty of this mindset is that it creates space for growth. When you stop labeling experiences as good or bad, you become more open to what they can teach you. A harsh critique becomes an opportunity to improve. A failed project becomes a lesson in resilience. Even pain, as difficult as it is, becomes a reminder of your strength and capacity to endure. So the next time you catch yourself rushing to judgment, pause. Take a step back. Remind yourself that events are neutral. It's your perception that gives them power. And in that moment of pause, you'll find freedom. The freedom to choose growth over stagnation, understanding over reaction, and wisdom over impulsiveness. Because life isn't about what happens to you, it's about what you do with it. 29. Environment shapes behavior. Take a moment to consider the fish in the ocean. It doesn't swim in isolation. It's affected by the currents, the temperature of the water, the availability of food, and the presence of predators. Just like that fish, you are shaped by your environment, often in ways you don't even realize. Your behavior, decisions, and even your beliefs are influenced by the people and settings that surround you. The question is, are you swimming in waters that nourish or deplete you? The power of environment in shaping behavior is often underestimated. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, puts it succinctly, environment is the invisible hand that shapes human behavior. Want to change your habits? Start by changing your environment. When your surroundings are aligned with your goals, success becomes almost effortless. But when your environment is at odds with what you want, progress feels like swimming upstream. Imagine someone trying to quit smoking while surrounded by friends who constantly light up. The social pull to conform is immense, making the habit nearly impossible to break. Now, contrast that with someone who joins a fitness group or a supportive community of non-smokers. The behavior they once struggled with begins to shift, not because their willpower magically increased, but because their environment is now working with them instead of against them. Your reference group, the people you interact with most frequently, plays a critical role. As the saying goes, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you're surrounded by people who prioritize growth, discipline, and ambition, their habits will start to rub off on you. On the flip side, if your circle is content with mediocrity, it's unlikely you'll feel motivated to rise above it. Consider the story of someone who wanted to improve their fitness but struggled to stay consistent. They joined a gym, but the real game changer came when they started surrounding themselves with people who valued health, colleagues who planned active weekends, friends who swapped recipes for healthy meals, and a coach who celebrated progress. Their environment became a constant reminder of their goals, and with time, the struggle to stay disciplined faded. Changing your environment doesn't always require drastic measures. Start small. Declutter your workspace to encourage focus. Stock your fridge with nutritious food to support healthy eating. Join a group or community that aligns with your aspirations, whether it's a book club, a mastermind group, or a local meetup for entrepreneurs. Every small tweak creates a ripple effect, pushing you closer to the person you want to become. But don't stop at your physical surroundings. Your digital environment matters too. The media you consume, the accounts you follow on social media, and even the notifications on your phone all influence your behavior. Curate them intentionally. Follow people who inspire you. Limit exposure to negativity and distractions. Make sure that every input you allow into your life serves your growth. Ultimately, the secret lies in aligning your environment with your goals. If you want to succeed, surround yourself with people and settings that challenge and uplift you. Build a world that doesn't just support your dreams, but actively propels you toward them. Because when you swim in the right waters, you don't have to fight against the current. You flow with it. 30. Simplify to amplify. The modern world glorifies multitasking. We wear our ability to juggle multiple priorities like a badge of honor, convinced that doing more equates to achieving more. But let's be honest, how often does that actually work? Spreading yourself too thin is a recipe for mediocrity. True progress doesn't come from doing everything. It comes from doing the right things, consistently and well. Simplify to amplify. At its core, simplification is about focus. It's about stripping away the non-essential to concentrate on what truly matters. Bruce Lee once said, "It is not daily increase, but daily decrease. Hack away at the unessential." This principle applies to every aspect of life, from your habits to your goals. By focusing on a few critical priorities, you create the mental and physical space needed for meaningful progress. Think of a magnifying glass. When you scatter sunlight, it warms the surface, but when you concentrate those rays through the glass, it creates a laser-sharp focus that can ignite a fire. Your efforts work the same way. When spread across too many tasks, they lose impact. But when concentrated on a few key areas, they become exponentially more powerful. Take the example of skill building. Imagine trying to learn 5 different skills at once: coding, painting, public speaking, fitness, and a new language. Each skill requires time, effort, and focus. By dividing your attention, you make slow progress in all of them, and frustration builds. Now, imagine focusing on just one skill, public speaking, for 3 months. With consistent practice, you see tangible results, building momentum and confidence. Once mastered, you can move to the next skill, leveraging the discipline and habits you've developed along the way. The Stoics understood this principle well. They advocated for simplicity and clarity, focusing only on what is within your control and discarding distractions. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you seek tranquility, do less." This doesn't mean being lazy, it means being deliberate. Simplification isn't about doing less, it's about doing better. The challenge lies in identifying what truly matters. Start by asking yourself, what are the few actions that will have the greatest impact on my goals? These are your non-negotiables. Everything else is secondary. Once you've identified them, commit to them wholeheartedly. Let go of the urge to chase every shiny opportunity that comes your way. Simplification also requires saying no. This is often the hardest part. We fear missing out or disappointing others. But every time you say yes to something unimportant, you're saying no to something that truly matters. Protect your time and energy like the precious resources they are. When you simplify, you amplify your results. You reduce decision fatigue, increase focus, and create space for deep work. It's no coincidence that some of the most successful people in the world, think Steve Jobs or Warren Buffett, are known for their ruthless prioritization. They understand that mastery and impact come not from doing more, but from doing less, better. So, resist the temptation to overcommit. Simplify your life, your habits, and your goals. Focus on the few things that truly matter and execute them with excellence, because in the end, progress isn't about how much you do, it's about how well you do what counts. 31. Deferred. Happiness is a trap. How often do you catch yourself thinking, "I'll be happy when..." Maybe it's when you finally get that promotion, move into your dream house, or achieve some elusive milestone you've been chasing. This mindset is insidious because it disguises itself as ambition. It tells you that happiness is just around the corner, waiting for you to arrive. But here's the truth. That corner keeps moving, and if you're not careful, you'll spend your entire life chasing a future that never comes, missing out on the only time you truly have, the present. Living for an ideal future is one of the most common traps of modern life. We've been conditioned to equate success with delayed gratification, which is valuable in moderation, but dangerous when it becomes a way of life. The Stoics had a term for this: amor fati, love of fate. It's the idea that instead of yearning for what could be, you embrace and appreciate what is. Consider the story of a man who worked tirelessly, saving every penny, thinking, "When I retire, then I'll live." He sacrificed vacations, time with his family, and hobbies that brought him joy, all in the name of some future paradise. But when retirement came, he realized his health had deteriorated, his relationships were strained, and he didn't know how to enjoy the freedom he had worked so hard to achieve. His future happiness had robbed him of the present. The problem with deferring happiness is that it puts your joy on layaway. You start living in a perpetual state of not yet. You convince yourself that once you reach a certain goal, everything will fall into place. But life is never that neat. There's always another mountain to climb, another goal to chase. The future you dream of might never come. And even if it does, you'll realize that the person you've become, conditioned to delay happiness, might not know how to enjoy it. This isn't to say you should abandon ambition or stop setting goals. Goals are essential. They give you direction and purpose. But the key is to strike a balance between striving for the future and savoring the present. You can plant seeds for tomorrow while still appreciating the ground you stand on today. The way forward is deceptively simple, but profoundly challenging. Learn to act and enjoy now. Take stock of the small, everyday moments that bring joy: a conversation with a friend, the feeling of the sun on your skin, or the satisfaction of completing a task. These moments aren't insignificant. They're the threads that weave the fabric of your life. One powerful practice to counteract deferred happiness is gratitude. Start and end your day by acknowledging what you're thankful for. It trains your mind to focus on abundance rather than scarcity, making the present feel fuller and more meaningful. Another strategy is mindfulness. When you find your thoughts drifting to the future, gently bring them back to the present. Ask yourself, what can I appreciate about this moment? Success, fulfillment, and happiness aren't destinations. They're journeys, The life you want isn't hiding in some distant future. It's unfolding right now. If you're constantly waiting for someday, you'll miss the beauty of today. Don't let the pursuit of what's next blind you to what's already here, because in the end, the only time to live, to love, and to act is now. 32. Success leaves clues. Behind every achievement lies a trail of breadcrumbs, a series of decisions, actions, and lessons learned. These breadcrumbs, when followed, form a roadmap that others can use to replicate that success. This is the essence of the idea that success leaves clues. But there's an often overlooked aspect of this truth. The most valuable clues aren't found in polished success stories. They're hidden in the messy, unfiltered struggles that lead to victory. Think about the biographies of great leaders, inventors, or artists. What makes their stories compelling isn't just their achievements. It's the challenges they faced, the failures they endured, and the lessons they learned along the way. Thomas Edison didn't just invent the light bulb. He famously failed 1,000 times before succeeding. Those failures weren't setbacks, they were clues, each one bringing him closer to the solution. Sharing the journey, not just the destination, is what makes success relatable. When you talk about your struggles, whether it's overcoming procrastination, dealing with rejection, or learning a new skill, you demystify success. You show others that greatness isn't reserved for the chosen few. It's attainable through persistence, resilience, and a willingness to learn from failure. But here's the catch. Recognizing and sharing these clues requires vulnerability. It's tempting to only showcase the highlight reel of your life, to present yourself as someone who's always had it figured out. However, true influence and inspiration come from authenticity. People don't connect with perfection. They connect with the humanity of your story. So how do you begin to uncover and share these clues? Start by reflecting on your own journey. What challenges have you overcome? What habits or strategies have consistently worked for you? What mistakes have taught you invaluable lessons? These are the breadcrumbs that others can follow. For example, if you've mastered the art of time management, think about the small, actionable steps that got you there. Was it creating a daily to-do list? Learning to say no to distractions? Blocking off time for deep work? These aren't just tips, they're clues, tangible, repeatable actions that others can implement. This principle also applies to learning from others. When you see someone achieve something you admire, don't just look at their results, study their process. What books are they reading? How do they structure their day? What habits have they cultivated? Success isn't a mystery, it's a pattern. The more you understand these patterns, the better equipped you are to replicate them. However, there's one crucial element to remember. Your journey will never be an exact replica of someone else's. The clues they leave behind are a starting point, not a script. You'll need to adapt them to your unique circumstances, strengths, and goals. Success is personal, but the lessons that lead to it are universal. Finally, pay it forward. As you climb your own mountains, take the time to leave clues for those who come after you. Share your insights, mentor others, and be generous with your wisdom. Not only does this solidify your own understanding, but it also creates a ripple effect of growth and achievement. Success leaves clues, but it takes awareness to recognize them, humility to share them, and courage to follow them. Whether you're learning from others or teaching through your own experiences, remember that the journey is just as important as the destination. In every step, there's a lesson waiting to be uncovered, a clue waiting to be shared. 33. The low bar. Today, we live in an era where the average effort is at an all-time low. Distractions are everywhere. Endless social media scrolling, instant entertainment, and the constant ping of notifications. People settle for good enough, barely scratching the surface of their potential. In this landscape, where mediocrity reigns, even a small amount of focused effort can set you leagues apart. But if you want to achieve true excellence, minimal effort won't suffice. It demands consistent focus and deliberate action. The low bar phenomenon isn't new, but it's amplified by modern technology. Think about it. How many people procrastinate on their dreams, distracted by fleeting pleasures, or overwhelmed by the sheer volume of options available? The average person might spend hours every day consuming content, but only a fraction of that time creating, improving, or pursuing something meaningful. This widespread distraction creates an opportunity, a gap that can be filled by those willing to rise above the noise. Excellence in today's world isn't about perfection, it's about consistency. It's not the person who works intensely for a day that outpaces the competition. It's the one who shows up every day, doing the hard work even when it's mundane or inconvenient. The difference between the average and the exceptional often lies in small, repeatable actions, those daily habits that compound over time. Imagine two people starting at the same point. One spends their evenings watching Netflix, while the other dedicates just an hour a day to learning a new skill. Over a year, that's 365 hours of progress versus 365 hours lost to distraction. In 5 years, the gap becomes monumental. This is the power of deliberate action, amplified in a world where most people lack the discipline to stay focused. So, how do you rise above the low bar and pursue excellence? The first step is clarity. Define what excellence looks like for you. Without a clear target, it's easy to fall into the trap of busyness without productivity. Are you trying to build a business, master a skill, improve your health, or strengthen relationships? Each goal requires a tailored approach, but they all share one thing in common: focus. Next, eliminate distractions ruthlessly. In a world that competes for your attention every second, the ability to focus is a superpower. Turn off notifications, set boundaries for your time, and create environments that encourage deep work. Multitasking might feel productive, but it fragments your attention and reduces the quality of your output. Excellence requires depth, and depth requires focus. Deliberate action is the third piece of the puzzle. It's not enough to simply work hard. You must work smart. Prioritize tasks that align with your goals and deliver meaningful results. If you're trying to get in shape, spend your time on activities that matter, like strength training or preparing healthy meals, instead of obsessing over minor details like the latest fitness trend. If you're building a business, focus on the core activities that drive growth rather than getting bogged down in peripheral tasks. But perhaps the most critical element is consistency. Success doesn't come from sporadic bursts of effort. It comes from showing up day after day, even when you don't feel like it. The best athletes, artists, and entrepreneurs aren't just talented, they're consistent. They've built systems and habits that make excellence inevitable, not optional. This doesn't mean you won't have off days. Everyone does. The difference is in how you respond. Average effort makes excuses. Excellence finds solutions. If you miss a workout, reschedule it. If you fail at a task, analyze what went wrong and try again. Progress isn't about never failing. It's about getting back on track quickly. Finally, Understand that excellence is a moving target. As you improve, the bar raises, and so should your standards. This isn't about perfectionism, it's about growth. Celebrate your wins, but don't get complacent. Use each achievement as a stepping stone to the next level. The truth is, the low bar today creates an extraordinary opportunity. While others are distracted, you can focus. While others settle, you can strive. Excellence isn't reserved for the elite. It's available to anyone willing to put in the work. But it doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of clarity, focus, deliberate action, and unrelenting consistency. In a world where mediocrity is the norm, you have the chance to stand out, not by doing the impossible, but by doing what most people won't. That's the path to excellence. That's how you rise above.